I was diagnosed with depression when I was 15 and then found out last year it was a misdiagnosis. I was re-diagnosed with bipolar disorder phase 1. That's sort of my experience with mental illness.
I'm a registered nurse at the Nova Scotia Hospital, and I work in electroconvulsive therapy, and that's what I specialize in is depression. And I've been doing this 38 years in that department, and we do have a lot of youth coming through with similar issues. Also a lot of older people that we're now treating with cognitive disorders that we're helping with their behavior side of their illness.
I'm a resident of Northwood Manor. I was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia, so I was in Dartmouth General for 3.5 months. I got better. In the end, when I was so much changed that they didn't know what they were going to do with me, and I had the bed booked at Northwood, I decided myself that I was going to go because I figured I still needed the help. I became like an unofficial unpaid helper.
I was nominated for the Outstanding Caregiver Award by the staff at Emerald Hall in the NS Hospital, who worked with my sister. She was a permanent resident there for a long time. It's a unit that specializes in care and treatment of people with a mental disability along with mental illness. I hadn't realized until at that point how pervasive mental illness was in the community of people with intellectual disabilities. And I had new understanding of what the people, my friends and family that I've known who've struggled with mental illness have gone through. I want to do more for that.
There's very few families that it doesn't touch. I think if you think, most of us think, you can think of someone in your family that's been affected by it. And it's one of those pervasive, like I said, illnesses that flies under the radar because people don't want to talk about it.
Nobody plans to have mental illness. It's not something you see coming. No. My sister was not defined by her illness. No, she was.
That's right.
When she was in treatment and responding well, we got to enjoy her fantastic personality. So when I think of mental illness, I think of it in its crisis stage and not in its health stage. I was thinking of it in black and white, but I think it's more of a continuum in which you work and you hope that you're at the healthy end, and sometimes due to issues beyond your control, you're just not, you're at the unhealthy end. It's such a comfort for a family member to see someone get good care.
Yes. I too have had grandmothers with depression, so I know firsthand what goes with that. And it wasn't what drew me to it, but I just had a natural drawing to it for whatever reason, you know. So I never looked back, never regretted it.
No one in my life at the time seemed to think that my personality fit with what someone's personality who has a mental illness should be. There's the stigma in my peers about what someone with a mental illness should look like. It's not who I am, but it is a large part of my life. There's no denying that. It goes into what I do now, and when I meet someone new who's, my age, I have to sort of think about whether they're the person who will understand this part of my story or they're the person who will reject it.
There's a fear of maybe losing control. It scares people to think that, and that's why people like you are so important for what you're doing.
It was something that was buried deep. People were kept at home most of the time, and then they were locked up in a mental hospital and kind of forgotten about. So yeah, there's been big changes, big improvements. One thing that I always hit on for people is you need volunteers to be able to help them and spend a little time.
There's a desperate need for more support and funding in that area. And I also feel incredibly grateful towards the staff who cared for my sister, like genuinely cared for her and treated her like their own or their family.
I wish that the way it was perceived by some people wasn't the way it was.
I feel the same way. I just wish that people would have more understanding of it. To bring it out and not feel that they can't say it, I think that's the big start.
I feel like awareness is moving in the right direction. I'm always surprised and impressed when I hear people come forward. I feel that funding, attention, improved access to care. I believe now that mental health is becoming a larger part of the care portfolio, and it needs to be funded and supported as such. I'm grateful for the Mental Health Foundation, and I'm grateful for the wonderful care that we do have.